Students, do you like to play in the puddles? Do you play in the puddles? What do you do when you see the puddles? Puddles means small pond where the water is gathered. Because some children play with their toys in the puddle. Some make groups and wearing raincoat enjoy the puddles. Some children like to sail their paper boats, colorful paper boats. Some children plays lonely with their toys. Some like to enjoy themselves jumping in the puddles. Some like to walking through the puddles on the roads. And some like to enjoy alone or lonely with their paper boats. You will have a question in your mind that why I am showing you the slides related to the puddles. Of course, obviously, you will have the question. But students, I am showing you these slides because today we are going to learn the story of the two little girls who are wiser than old people. What happened? Once upon a time, there were two girls, Malasha and Akalka. Among them, Malasha was little younger girl and Akalka was an elder girl. So, there was the Easter festival. It is the Christian festival and holiday that is celebrated in many countries. So, it was an early Easter morning when Akalka and Malasha's mother dressed them a new dress and they went to the church. But after the church, they come to the puddle. After the prayers in the church, the two girls went to the puddle where they showed their new garments or new dress to each other and began to play. Obviously, they wanted to enter in the water puddle. Malasha wanted to enter with the shoes, but Akalka stopped her and Akalka said, Malasha, don't go with the shoes. Your mother will scold you. So, look at me. Now I will take off my shoes and you do the same. The little girl followed the elder and they removed their shoes and raised their skirt and walked through the puddles toward each other. When Malasha stepped in and the water comes up to her ankles, she said, it is deep, Akalka. I am afraid. But Akalka assured her that the water is not so deep, so there is no need to worry. She asked Malasha to come her. And as soon as Malasha reached Akalka, and Akalka was trying to say, don't splash the water, but before saying it, Malasha plumped her foot into the water and bespattered Akalka's new dress. Not only the new dress, but the dirty mud spreads on Akalka's face also. She got angry and she scolded Malasha. She ran after her and she wanted to strike her. As soon as the mud is splashed on Akalka's face, Malasha realized what mistake she had done. She came She jumped out of the puddle and began to run to home. Akalka followed her, and when Akalka was running after Malasha, at that time Akalka's mother was crossing from that road. She saw Akalka and she asked her, "What happened? Why your dress is so dirty? Who did it? Did you get yourself so dirty?" Then Akalka replied, "No, mummy, it was Malasha. Malasha has purposely splashed it on me." When Akalka's mother listened to it, she grabbed Malasha and gave a knock on her nape. Then Malasha began to howl, and her mother heard her crying and ran out of the house. When Malasha's mother came out of the house, she saw that Malasha was crying, so she asked Akalka's mother, "Why do you strike my daughter?" And then she began to scold her. So the quarrel began between two neighbors. The quarrel went on and on and on. Then the men also came out, ran out, and big crowd gathered in the street. All were crying, and nobody could hear his neighbor. They scolded and cursed each other. One man gave another man a push, and a fight had begun. Akalka's grandmother tried to stop them, but no one listened her. She said, "What are you doing, dear ones? Consider the holiday. This is a time for rejoicing and not fighting. And see what sin you are doing." But none of them paid any attention to the old woman, and they continued their quarrel. Meanwhile, the two girls, but especially Akalka, cleaned her dress and she went to the puddle. She picked up a pebble and began to scratch the ground so as to let the water off into the street. While she was scratching the road, Malasha also came to help her. She picked up a chip and widened the reel. That's why the water could go off on the road. But the peasants were fighting, and just as the water went down the reel toward the place where the old woman was trying to separate the men, the girls ran, one from one side of the reel and other from the other side of the reel. Then Akalka shouted, "Look out, Malasha, look out!" Malasha wanted to say something herself, but could not speak for laughter. The girls were running and laughing at a chip which was bobbing up and down the reel. They straight ran into the crowd of the peasants where they were fighting. Then the old woman said, "Them, shame on you before God. You have started fighting on account of these two girls, and they have long ago forgotten it. The dear children have been playing nicely together. They are wiser than you." The men also looked at the girls, and they felt ashamed. Then they laughed at themselves and scattered to their works, to their farms. Students, from this story, we get a very good message, and especially the message for the grown-ups, for the elder ones, for the old people, that the kids or children start fighting easily But as much easily they start the fighting, that much easily they forget their fightings. So the elders should not take seriously the quarrels of the children.